Today we're at Regina's fish room. We're going to be doing a full tour of your breeding room. I've just been around. Regina's got a ton of really cool little nano species, some different cories.
Weird catfish.
Weird catfish, yeah, actually there was some weird catfish.
Yeah.
A bunch of really cool stuff, rare stuff, and even some common stuff. So there's something for everyone in this video. Sit back, relax, enjoy. We're going to go around and learn a ton about fish. So should we start up there?
Sure. This is not what is labeled on the tank because I'm lazy and forgot to take them off. This is the African red-eyed tetra, Arnoldictes spilopterus, and they are on the IUCN red list, and they're kind of big, and they'll get a little bit bigger.
What's that list?
Endangered species list.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you haven't spawned these yet?
No, not yet. I just moved them into this tank from this cube behind you. From that was their home for the past 2 years. So I think they need to get a little bit more sexually mature before they'll spawn.
They take
And
that
they're
long?
Very skittish. Yeah. Most of the African tetras I found, the larger species anyway, my experience has been that they need to be mature, older, before they'll lay eggs that are viable.
Does that like include Congo tetras and things like that?
Yeah. If you get those really small ones, they're not going to spawn. They might go through the motions, but they won't. They're not sexually ready.
Right. How close do you reckon these are to breeding then?
I would think that they should breed sometime this year. I've had them for 3 years, and they have put on size since I got them. I know there are both genders in there.
And how are you going to do it?
I'm going to leave them in there. I'll take out most of the plants, and I'll load up the bottom with Java moss and feed the heck out of them. Do a lot of water changes. I use straight RO on them.
Yeah.
Keep that water temperature warm. I heat the whole room. I don't heat in each individual tank, but I turn the heater off in the room at night so that there's a temperature difference.
Smart.
Hopefully, sometime this year they'll give me some nice big eggs.
And you'll just be checking down here?
Yes, at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when you see eggs, you know they're ready.
Right. Then I'll take the parents out and put them back in the cube behind you.
Yeah, I'd love to have a go at something like this. I've done the Congos, but these are like the next step up.
Yeah, they would be.
Yeah.
It'll be
Nice.
my fourth African large species, tetra.
Yeah.
It'll be a new one. And I'm sure they're going to be a little bit of a challenge.
I think you'll figure it out though. You've
Yeah.
seemed to have a lot of success with a lot of different things, so it seems that if Eric can't do it, you can.
It's because Eric gets involved with his plecos. Plecos are like penises. Just give them a hole and they're happy.
I guess that's one way to put it.
Sorry.
I'm not cutting that either.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then what's happening in this tank?
This is Corridor's Harold Schultzi.
Yeah.
And
They are so skittish.
yeah, they're very, very antisocial. They don't want anyone looking at them. So these species, I believe, have rarely been spawned or they've never been spawned in captivity.
And you haven't done it yet?
No. And I think they probably have to go through a bad dry season,
Yeah.
but they're in there with those nasty Lacourte's rainbow tetras,
Yeah.
Nematobricon lacourti, and they're just, I put them in there for ditherfish thinking that they would make the cories calm down and they would be a little bit more relaxed, but those guys have been in there for 2 years and they've never relaxed.
They look exactly like a stir-by to me. I know they're not.
No, the way you can tell is these guys have a snout. They have a longer nose, I guess you want to put it, and the other guys, their faces are round.
Yeah.
Their snouts are rounded. And the color pattern's different also.
Yeah, I guess like for the difficulty, like I'd be so lazy and be like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get stir-bys, but it's cool that you wanna.
Well, I already did stir-bys. I wanted another challenge.
So you haven't bred these yet?
No,
Okay.
no, I have not. I don't know anyone that has. Ian Fuller might have. I don't know, but
Wow.
I have not. I just keep feeding the hell out of them, and they keep flipping me the fin.
So you're gonna like, is this pure RO or?
No, this is just regular tap water.
Okay.
Right, I've never tried them, but I never noticed the females getting heavy, and I know there are males and females in there.
And you do run dry seasons in here?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's the perfect fish for people that are lazy.
Yeah.
Just stop doing water changes, let the water level drop even. If you see the fish are in distress, obviously you got to give them some fresh water, and just feed them a little bit. Barely feed them.
And how long would you do that? Like a couple of months?
For these guys, probably 3 months. And if that didn't work, I would try 4. And if that didn't work, I would probably give up and say, hey, fish for sale. and get rid of them.
The dry season idea
Yeah,
is so
dry
cool.
season's over, kids. Out the door you go.
That's true commitment.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do look neat. They're like a long nose sturbo.
yeah.
What are these little skittish things up here?
The ones at the very top
Yeah.
are, God, I can't think of their name. They used to be a species of white cloud, but they're no longer. They're in their own genus. Like, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of
That's
them.
all
Of course,
right.
I don't have a label.
That's fine.
It begins with the letter A. I can't remember. I
Someone
just
will
put them
comment.
in there for dither fish also, because I spawned them a long time ago.
What are you trying
But
to
the
spawn?
Petrorictus brevis, the loaches that are in there that are hiding,
Oh.
but they're a really cool species because the females and the males do not resemble one another, so you can tell visually. And they supposedly spawn in plants, and I've pulled 3 fry out of there, so apparently as soon as they spawn, they turn around and eat the eggs. But they're relatively simple. They'll eat anything. They're easy to keep. They don't care about the water parameters.
And they're
I would
very
never,
skittish.
yeah, I would never let the pH drop too low in there. But
So you've had them for what, how long?
oh my gosh, I've had these guys for nearly 3 years.
And they've gotten 2 babies.
Yeah, 2 babies. I've pulled them out of the tank. I never saw them spawn. I never found an egg. I even have those little clay contraptions back there with the holes poked in them
Oh, what? I didn't even see that.
that someone made for me because I wanted to put reeds down in those holes
Yeah.
to make a certain species spawn. What the hell were they? Autocinklus.
Yeah.
But I thought if I put those in there, perhaps some eggs would wash into there. But the holes are so shallow that if I remove that without a net underneath of it, if there were eggs in there, they would just wash back out again. But I have the rocks at the end there, thinking that I
Might
had a
spawn on that.
pile of plants over there, Java moss, thinking that if they spawned in there, I could just get into those rocks and siphon out eggs. I siphoned out 3 fry. I grew them up for a while and just threw them back in with the parents. I have no idea whether they're really still in there or not.
Maybe they just got so good at hunting the eggs or something like
I
that.
think that they are. I think they're that good at it.
You don't really hear of many people breeding loaches.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hill stream loaches are one that seem to be easy, but
Right.
the rest just seem to be a pain in the butt.
Right. And I've had hill stream loaches 3 times, and 3 times I've killed them.
What? Really?
Yeah, I seriously have. I don't
Damn.
know what it is.
I saw these before. I think you have babies of them too. There
The
was
pearl gouramis?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're probably mad because I moved them,
Yeah, they're hiding.
and now
down
they're
here.
hiding. And plus that airflow might be up a little too high for them.
But they've just, this is a pair that you've just bred, right?
Yes, there's 2 pairs in there.
Oh, there's 2 pairs. in
Yeah.
there.
So they were straightforward. Put them in a tank, half RO, half tap. That's what I did anyway. Male builds a nest. The male wraps around the female. She releases the eggs. He spits the eggs up into the nest. And usually within 24, 36 hours, the babies hatch. And he'll guard them, but after a couple of days, he'll eat the fry.
Okay.
So.
So you are still doing some common stuff, like even
Yeah, I just think they're so pretty.
even over here, like these have to be the nicest looking
They
freshwater
are, aren't they
fish.
beautiful?
So these
And
are
I
just
don't know why anybody
cardinals.
would turn their nose up at those.
No, because they're not expensive enough.
Yeah, well,
Are you gonna have a go at breeding them?
I'm going to give it a whirl. If there are both sexes in there, I got those from a member of our aquarium club that spawned those. Those are his fry that you have to turn in 6 for a Breeders' Award program.
Yeah.
And those were his 6, and he's an excellent breeder.
Now this tank here, so you got a little towel going here.
Right. I had Nanostomus anduzi, which is I think it's the smallest Nanostomus pencil fish that we know of so far. I had them in this tank in the hopes that these guys laid eggs. When I moved the parents over into this tank, I covered it with a piece of paper bag, and a black towel because I want to block out as much light as I possibly can because tetra eggs are highly light sensitive. So even though they'll be fertilized, if they have a lot of light shining on them, they might decide to spoil. So I'll leave that covered. If there aren't any fry in there within 3 days, I'll just remove everything and break the tank down.
So these nanostomas were in here.
Yes.
Did you have it covered when they were in there?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No, this is only after I hope they spawned.
So you put them in, spawn them, and then move them to another tank.
Right, right.
And then you cover it up after
Then
that.
I cover it up
right.
after. Right. Now I usually only do that if I notice that the females were gravid and then they're slim again.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice that the females ever got heavy. So I just took a chance that maybe there was a female that I didn't see because this has a lot of plant matter in it.
So it's just
And
like
I'm
a
hoping,
hopeful.
right.
And
I've already spawned them, but I want more because I just think they're cute.
Do you mind if I just like lift it up a tiny bit
Sure.
so people can see
Yeah,
how
yeah,
dark it is
so-
in there?
It's not really that dark.
So I wonder, do you know, like, you've been to Peru and all that. Why are tetra eggs so light sensitive? Like,
I think it's because of where they come from, because
Yeah.
they're usually found in dark water. We found some species that were in clear water, but I just think it's because they're in black water and that they don't get exposed to light. And where the fish spawn, they aren't spawning in the middle of the stream. They're spawning off to the side under heavy vegetation. So it really is, it's not dark like black, but that's
it's just
what I
not
think.
bright,
Right. It's
piercing
just
light.
Not,
Sure.
Yeah.
And you, like, for instance, like all your tetras, because you're kind of, I think, known for breeding some of the rarer sort of tetras. Is it pure RO that you use?
I use pure RO on most of the tetras, yes.
Yeah. And how do you stop that from crashing?
Keep a lot of plant matter in there, and my trick was to keep water wisteria in there. If I see the water wisteria starting to get slimy looking, then I know that pH is
Coming
going
down.
down, yeah.
It's melting
and then
the
I'll do
plants.
then I will do the water change.
So these are the fish that you're trying to spawn. So these
Yes.
they're tiny.
Yes, they are. But it's really pretty because the males get a bright red rear end.
Wow, they're tiny.
So instead of a hairy pleco ass, you have a pretty red ass to look at.
they
I just think they're so pretty.
for people watching, these are about, I didn't even notice these when I was doing the B-roll, but they're like
They're tiny.
maybe 1.5 centimeters.
Yeah. That's about it.
And that's as big as they get.
Right.
Where are they found in the wild?
I believe they're found in Brazil. So they only come in maybe once a year. And I look for them because I like the weird ones. And a lot of people don't work with this, and I don't know if it's because they're so small and they're not really what I would call colorful.
That could be why. And do
But
you
they're
have babies of
distinctive.
these?
Yes, I do, over here.
Because I thought I saw some babies.
And the babies are going to be hard to see because they're small. I find anostomus species, to be slow growing,
Oh, there is a baby.
and they're just so small. And I do water changes on them every day. Now with the baby tetras, if I spawn them in RO water, I wait about a week and a half before I give them their first water change. But I put them in these small containers because I want to keep an eye on the fry.
So you'll
And-
take the fry out of that?
Right. I
Over
siphon
there.
it off, yep.
Jeez, that's a
I
lot of
siphon
work.
it off, yep.
Wow.
And it's really hard because you have to put a flashlight down into the container that I siphon them into and suck them out with a turkey baster or something of the sort.
Yep.
They're really hard to see because they don't move. And all you're looking for is a silver sliver with a black eyeball.
So how many did you get in this spawn?
I think there's only 8 fish in there. Such a small fish, I don't think they spawn. They don't
Please.
have large spawns. So I have never seen the eggs. I've only seen fry. I don't know what color their eggs are, how big they are.
And for those people at home too, like, you don't need like all these different contraptions to make fry survive. Like, this is just a little container,
Yeah.
air stone, some plants,
Yep.
and a cover to make it a bit
Right.
darker. And the snails, I guess, help clean it up too. They're
Yeah,
kind of useful.
they do. And they'll make a little bit of infusoria also.
They'll make the infusoria as well.
Yeah, yeah. And then I put leaves in them so that they get that biofilm on them and they'll eat off of that biofilm off of the leaves.
How do snails make infusoria? Just
All their poop.
their poop?
Yeah, all their poop. They eat all the other stuff in there and
I never thought of that.
yeah.
Should we go back over here, get through some of these? What are these?
Those are Aphanius maricitensis.
Uh-huh.
That's a killifish from Jordan.
From Jordan?
Yeah, the country. They're an egg layer. Obviously, they lay their eggs in mops. They need high pH and they need a little bit of salt in their water. Not exactly like salt water, but they do need a little bit of salt. They're hard water requirements. So I have to put seashells in there
Yeah, you can see it.
and a high pH buffer. And they also go through a wet and dry season or warm season, cold season. But they're just different, and I think they're kind of pretty. They're not mature yet, but they'll only get a bit bigger.
Wow.
Primarily vegetable matter. They eat a lot of algae. But they're cool
Fish from
fish.
Jordan. Mm-hmm. And then Neo, what are these?
Neolebius travase.
Yeah. So are they,
They're African.
and they're a tetra?
Yes, that's a tetra also. I've had these for maybe a year and a half. Those are males and females, and just like Anduzi, the males get the red blush on their hind ends, on their caudal peduncle.
Another thing I want to mention too for people at home. Oop,
Oh, sorry.
breaking your fish room, sorry.
That's all right.
There's this like eyelash mops you make.
Yes.
So what are these?
Eyelash yarn. Do you want me to take it out?
Yeah, please.
Eyelash yarn, I find to be one of the best things if you wanted to mimic a plant. When you put it in, it stays fluffy.
Yep.
But when you take it out, it just turns into a blob, just like
hornwort.
Yeah, like hornwort. But it stays fluffy. It'll stay up in the air, and it comes in every color under the rainbow. But I like this green two-tone. And they call it eyelash yarn because they'll have a strand of yarn. It's easier to show you here. They'll have a strand of yarn, and then they put these filaments all through it.
Ah, I see.
And that's what makes it eyelash yarn. But the fish accept it, and the fish will spawn in it. I have Java moss in there also.
So that'd help for like a lot of your just like
Right.
trickier tetras.
Right.
It's like predictable, you can always make it.
Yep.
And it covers up well,
Yes, it does cover well.
so it'd be hard for them to like eat their eggs straight away.
Yep. And I like it just because it's so fluffy.
Yeah. Where do you buy it from?
Any craft store, any yarn store, if you're into that sort of thing. Crafty store.
You could probably find it online.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. But I haven't spawned them yet. That's an ongoing project also.
Frustrating.
No,
That's fish.
because that's another fish. Nobody keeps it because
Yeah.
it's not flashy. So nobody's keeping it, and I don't have anybody that I can reach out to and say, hey, what were your experiences with this fish? Because nobody's keeping it. And they're another one. They don't come in.
These are looking...
Beckford
Whoa.
eye.
They're nice.
Yeah, and Anostomus Beckford eye.
So they're another pencil fish.
That's another pencil fish, and they're pretty widespread throughout South America. And there are different color forms in different parts of South America, in Brazil, Venezuela. And originally, whenever they would find a different color morph, whatever scientist was examining them, they would give it a new species name, but they found that they're morphologically, they're the same fish. They're one and the
Right.
same, just different color. These guys I have spawned, they're in straight RO.
Are these the babies next to
These
it?
are the babies next door, yes.
That's so cool.
And even though they're maybe 3 mil, they still don't like the light.
Yeah. They're tiny.
Yeah, and they'll stay that way. They take forever.
What are you feeding
Take
fry
forever.
this small?
I start them off with powdered food, APR.
What's
and fed it to
APR?
them. Artificial plankton and rotifer.
Oh, like golden pearls.
Yeah, golden pearls, there you go.
Have you tried them on the bug buffet yet?
Yes, and they seem to take to it. When
Oh,
it
nice.
drifts down through the water column, they go right to it and nail it. So this is better than television, just watching your fry eat.
Yeah. It's such a relief.
It is. It's a huge relief, especially when you're starting off with Tetra, because Tetra fry are so small.
I mean, these things, like my phone can't even pick it up. Like, it's really struggling.
Yeah.
So
It's
I'll try and get some nice
nearly
B-roll. but
impossible.
They're fucking tiny. Cool. Oh, these are cool. Are these pencilfish again?
Yes,
These
Mortsaler eye.
Oh, these are so pretty.
That's the ones they call the coral pencil.
Yeah. But you haven't had success with these yet? Or?
Oh, I've spawned the heck out of them.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
Straight RO. Straight RO. I left that plant matter in there. I usually have water sprite.
Wait, so you just
On the
kept
top?
that plant matter in there?
Yep.
Water
And
Sprite?
Yep.
Damn, I want to have a go at
Yep.
these now.
You have to. I mean, the only drawback to them is the fry grow incredibly slow.
Right.
And I mean incredibly slow. I don't care how much I fed them, how many water changes I gave them. They just take forever to grow.
Eric said he couldn't breed his.
He was using, what is that, long fiber sphagnum moss.
Yep.
A friend of ours who's an excellent breeder, Tony Tercero, lives over in Rhode Island. He's an excellent breeder and photographer. He made the remark once that you don't have to get nature exactly spot on. You just have to get it in the ballpark. Tony spawned his in a 10-gallon tank, loaded up with this long fiber sphagnum moss. And he had fry everywhere. When Eric tried it with that, it didn't work. But they say that the males are very aggressive. I haven't noticed that in my tank. But I just use the Java moss on the bottom, in the front, cover up the whole area. And even if I don't, the fry will rise to the top and they'll be up in the weeds.
So the parents aren't eating them all, or?
No, I imagine they're eating them. But the
Okay.
parents for these guys, they normally stay up at the top of the tank.
With these, just same as we were talking about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
How many babies can you get out of them?
Not very many. I don't bother to siphon off the bottom. I mean, I have a couple of times,
Yeah.
but I don't even bother. I just normally have water sprite or hornwort floating up there. And I take a deli cup. I guess I don't have an empty one, but a deli cup, and I just tip it in the corners, or I'll tip it anywhere where there's plant cover, and there'll be like 6 or 7 fry will just flop right in.
Right.
And they'll be different sizes. So I know that they're spawning all the time.
Yeah. Do you find that like moving fish tank to tank stresses them out?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No.
That's pretty cool. I get some of them when I get home. Now, what's up here?
Those are corridor sedalis. There's the ones with heavy reticulated pattern.
They look like honeycomb.
And then the other ones I think are C123s. Someone gave them to me.
Are these in a breeding tank here, or is this like
They're in a holding tank, basically.
Yeah.
The sedalis are tricky to breed. I think only, as far as I know, maybe 3 or 4 people have spawned them. But that's another fish that I think is pretty. So I want to play with it. And it's different. You don't see them all the time. I had a group for 10 years, and I was trying to spawn them, and I was feeding the heck out of them, and I was doing all kind of water changes on them. So like a ding-dong, it never dawned on me, hey, you might want to check if you have males and females. So they were in this 55 down here. So I pulled all the fish out. They were all males.
You're kidding.
No.
What?
I had 10 male fish, and I was trying to spawn them. Didn't work.
Great. Oh, well, it's an experience.
So I had to order new fish. So now I know that there are males and females in there.
Future project coming up. And now I thought these were really cool when I was walking around. These little barbs.
Yeah, Earmodus octozonus.
Modus octozonus?
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah.
So people can
I was
see.
gonna say, I hope I have the label on that tank.
So these haven't been bred in captivity?
Not that I know of, no.
And they're a barb?
Yes.
So
And
why?
I don't really know if there aren't that many people that are trying. I talked to 2 different people, both of which are in Europe, and I think people have tried, but they've never succeeded. I don't know what they need. So they're found in peaty forests, and I would imagine they also go through a dry season with the wet, rainy season and the dry season. And they seem so delicate, I can't bring myself to put them through a dry season.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to risk it.
I don't. And that's another one that I don't see them all the time. Not that I'm actually actively looking for new species of fish to play with, but I really don't see them all the time.
No. And what's this little catfish here?
That is Hyalobagris flavus. This is the second time I've kept them. They're really neat. They're very, very peaceful. They don't bother anyone.
Is that as big as they get?
That's as big as they get, yes.
Have you bred
From
them?
Indonesia. No. The males and the females, well, you can tell the females because her belly, like that girl right maybe there.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, they're very skittish also. But the females will fill up with eggs, and their bellies actually look like they're a bluey green color, and you can see them. You can see the eggs. So the first time I tried to spawn them, I thought, well, I'm going to put them through a dry season. As soon as that pH went down to 5, every single fish in the tank died.
What?
So I'm thinking, how in the hell am I supposed to give them a dry season?
They're just gonna die.
Yeah, I don't know how the heck I want to control that. So
I mean, they
I
look
don't know.
cute.
I
They
just
look
think they're
cool.
pretty.
Yeah.
They're just a neat fish.
I mean, that's what you do. You're the oddball guys. So.
Yeah.
There was one thing in here that I missed when we were walking over, and it was like this little. Here it is. What are these? They're like
Microchina poma and sorgii.
what is
It's
that?
a labyrinth fish.
These are a labyrinth fish.
Yes. Male builds a nest, bubble nest at the top of the tank, usually around plant matter. Which
So
is
he'll
why that
go up
plant-
in there.
Yes. And where those leaves are, he would build a nice big nest. And he's pretty lazy about it. But he does guard the eggs.
Have you bred? So you bred them?
Yes, I have. They've spawned, I hate saying this, but they spawn a lot. Put it that way. They spawn quite a bit. And I have 3 tanks with fry in them, and I don't want any more tanks with fry in them because I don't know what I'm going to do with them all. They're a very pretty fish. When the male gets aroused, he turns a really pretty, like an orangey red color.
Yep.
And his stripes, the vertical stripes, really stand out.
He's almost
it's
like
pretty
a dwarf cichlid with a bulb,
Yeah.
like a labyrinth. You know?
Yeah.
Nice. While I'm down here, these were cool too. Corydorus tucano. Mm-hmm. So you have a lot of babies of these.
Yes, I do. We bought those at a convention we were at last year or the year before. I can't recall. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
They're just cute.
They are.
They're small, so they can go into a relatively small aquarium. They do dig around in the sand, but they're not snouty, so they don't burrow real deep into the sand, the substrate. And they lay huge eggs. I pulled some this morning from them. But I find fry in the tank all the time, and I just leave them in there. I know that they're eating fry, or they're eating, well, I don't know if they'd be eating their eggs, but they're eating the fry because they have maybe 10 or 12 eggs at a time, depending on how many females are ripe in there. So they are in half RO, half tap water, treated tap. We filter the whole house water system here.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see like little ones in there too, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they have been doing their thing. I think they're really cool.
Yeah, they are.
And then what are these little like nano
That's-
emperor tetra looking things?
That's Tucanoictes tucano. A friend of mine, Tim Gross, is really heavy into aquascaping. He's been that way for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. He had them in a tank, display tank, and he didn't want them anymore, so he gave them to me. They're a little bit trickier to spawn because they need exacting water parameters from what I understand. So I just put them in there because they were Tucano tetras and those are Tucano cories.
And that's as big as they get?
That's as big as they get, yeah.
Huh.
But they're adorable.
And you haven't bred those though?
No, I have not. I just put them in there for dithers.
I wonder, it's weird that, you know, I don't know if they come from the same place, but like, you got these breeding, but then these won't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, so you've tried the separation and all that kind of stuff?
Right.
Never worked, right?
I only tried once with those guys. You have to have dark stained water. The only person I personally know that spawned them successfully was Don Kenyon on the other in Virginia, and he used rainwater. There hasn't been enough rain for me to collect, so I tried it with RO water and it didn't work. I had alder cones, oak leaves. I tried to put all kind of tannins in the water, and it didn't work.
Frustrating.
So it's a bummer.
Oh,
And those
well,
guys are old.
I do have to ask too, like, what's this thing here, this trough?
Oh, there's no central drain in this floor. There's no floor drain.
Okay.
So that's where I dump all my wastewater into when I do my water changes, and then I pump it up through the walls.
Yep.
And it goes all the way across the basement into another tank in another trough in Eric's room. And then we pump it outside in the spring, summer, and autumn. We use it to water our gardens. And if not, we just have a dry riverbed over the hill that we throw it over with a bunch of native plants that need the water. So
Cool.
we try to recycle it if we can.
Well, I guess we should stay down maybe. Have a look at this tank. So these are a big cory.
Yeah. The robustus.
Robustus.
Those guys are so old. I don't even know how old they are, to tell you the truth.
Spawned?
Oh yeah, we spawned them. And there's one female Phenacogrammus, or Antiochus, the blue-eyed Congo.
I can't
Can you see her?
No.
No, she's hiding behind the wood, I'll bet.
Oh, I can see her eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's really skittish. So anyways, I had a group of, I think, 12.
Yep.
And like I said, I keep my room, the heat on. Well, they were in a tank and the water got up to 80 degrees and they all wiped out except for her. So when people think of tropical fish, you can't think of warm water all the time because those guys just couldn't handle it.
It's hard because you get all these different types of fish and you have no
Right.
clue where they were collected. There she is.
Yeah, that's true. And it's my fault because I should have researched and I didn't. I just thought,
Well,
oh,
even
Congo tetra,
research
it'll be all right.
sometimes, you just get some like
Oh yeah, you get
BS
conflicting
info.
information from everybody.
Yeah, so like it's really hard to know. Mm-hmm. That's
Or
why
you'll
we.
get some people. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I gotta.
No, that's all right.
I gotta say this. Some people will know what to do, and they won't share the information.
Yeah, gatekeeping.
Like what is your problem?
Yeah, I know. Like, no, this is my fish and it's for me and no one else should be able to breed it.
Yeah, and that's not right because we're the stewards. We're supposed to share the information and ensure that these species survive. I don't do this for money. I don't do this. I do it for fun. But it's a great hobby, and you should be sharing information. You shouldn't be hoarding it.
I totally agree. What are these little things up here?
Those are a native killifish.
Like a least killie?
Nah, it's not a least killie.
I don't know anything about
It's terrible. I can't even remember their names.
Yeah.
I have 2 males left. They're very pretty.
See, I don't know
Easy to keep.
the first thing about killies, but before I came here and went to Florida, I didn't even realize there was killies in America.
Yeah, we have a few, and they are very pretty.
Huh. And then, these are the Jordans. You spawned them.
Another one.
Oh, these are a different one?
That's, yeah, a Aphanius serhani.
But you had success?
Oh, yeah. And we've taken a lot of them out of there.
Wow.
The male that I have left, the female, became egg-bound and she passed, but the male's up behind Harlan.
Yeah.
And it's a bigger killifish,
him?
and it's very, very pretty.
We'll just quickly look at
He's
him.
up on the end. 5.5.
Oh, he's nice looking.
Isn't he beautiful? And a lot of those fish in those areas, they're threatened, or some of them are extinct in the wild because of the heavy pressure that humans put on water resource. People don't care if there's any water so long as they get it. They don't care about the fish, and that's up to us to try to save them. You can't keep them all and you can't save them all, but you can do it with a couple of species.
Yeah. Turns out you're pretty good at breeding them too. Oh.
Come.
Tug's being a goof. And you also bred a ton of... So these are the pearl
Yeah,
gouramis?
those are the pearl gouramis.
I love seeing a tank full of fry like
Yeah.
this.
Oh, there was a lot more fry in there than that. That was a big bubble nest.
Wow.
And I hate to say this, but I didn't want them all to grow up, so I lost maybe 50,
Yeah?
maybe more. But what are you going to do with all these pearl gouramis?
Where are you going to grow them out?
Yeah,
Not like you
have
guys
to-
have 280 tanks.
no. But still, it was fun.
Yeah,
I like labyrinth fish.
me too.
I think the bubble nest is very interesting.
Yeah, it's a weird adaptation.
Yeah. Like, where did it come from? How did it evolve?
And
I
how
just think
come-
it's so cool.
Maybe like, I don't know, maybe it was to hide them with frog
Yeah,
eggs or
maybe,
something. I have no clue.
It could be, yeah.
Who
You
knows?
never know.
And then these are more fry. So I thought these were the babies of the...
No.
What the hell are these?
Those are Punchus snyderi, which are down there, Snyder's barbs.
Yeah.
And it's a really pretty, I like barbs. I think it's a really pretty barb. It's one that you don't see very often.
Yeah,
I
they're
got
so
them from a
cute.
convention too, from a fellow that bred them.
So where the...
The parents are down here in this tank.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they're just so pretty. So they're in there with Corydorus zygatus.
That one on my screen?
Yeah. Gotcha. Oh, no. That was
That was a different one.
what the hell are they called? Corydorus, yeah, Araguayensis.
But this is...
Those fish are so old. Eric's had them for probably 10 or 12 years, and then I got them off of him because he didn't want to try spawning them anymore because they need a large tank to spawn in. I've spawned them about 4 times, and all 4 times, eggs are never any good. And there's males and females. I only have 3 left, though.
I hate that when you get something to spawn. Like, I
Yeah.
had these black Venezuelan cories every damn time.
Oh, yeah. See, I was thinking those zygatus were spawning because of all that.
I mean, they're acting
But I
all...
don't see any eggs.
They're acting all like...
But they're hopefully maybe
breedy,
there'll be some later.
you know.
I gave them a nice white
That's
worm
exactly what they look
feeding.
like when they're going to breed. So
Yeah. It's a pretty little fish.
I love
Kind
seeing
of
that.
plain, but
The breeding activity is happening. Talking about that, I just wanted to ask, how did you spawn all of these?
the barbs, I conditioned them with the cories. I condition males and females together. I usually don't separate the sexes. I just spawn them together because I feed them really, really heavily with live food, high protein foods, pellets, your bug pellets. They work great. And I do a lot of water changes. These guys are in half tap, half RO. Only because I didn't do any research and I had the Araguayensis in there also, so I wanted to make sure that nobody was, suffering or whatever. So once I noticed those females would get huge, once I noticed that the females had filled up with eggs, I take them all out of there. I put them in that tank with, I take half the water out of here, put it in that tank, fill it up with half RO, half tap. Then I get a piece of the old mat that you used to use to wipe your feet on. Looks like grass.
Oh, yeah.
It's in here.
Yeah, that
Let me
plastic
get
stuff.
the grass mat or whatever the heck it's called. And I only have this piece.
You can find that on eBay for sure.
You can find they're huge and they're just rubber backed so they don't slip around.
Yeah.
But I put this in the middle of the tank and I weighted it down on the four corners, one in the middle with larger size pebbles that don't have a lot of mineral content in them. I use we have white stone that looks like marble almost, but it's not what it is.
going to dissolve or anything.
I can't think of the name of that either. And then I'll throw some Java moss or Java fern along the ends of the tank, and I'll just put the males and females in there, and they spawn in here. Once I notice the females are depleted, which is usually the very next morning, I took them all out, moved them back into there, and covered that tank like I did that Tetra tank over there.
So they're also light sensitive?
Yep.
I mean, it can't
I treat them
hurt.
all as light sensitive.
Yeah, it can't hurt. Because I haven't done that, and I reckon I've screwed up a lot of breeding doing...
You know, I really don't know whether they all are.
Yeah.
I just treat them all that way. Even like with Cory eggs, if I pull Cory eggs, I put alder cones in there so that the water turns brown.
Yeah.
And then after 24 hours, I take the alder cone out and do a water change. But it's just to
It's just
make
in case.
sure, right? I want to be sure that they're not going to be ruined.
Yeah,
I don't want to waste all that time.
Like, honestly, when you do think about it, like, in the wild, like, for a fry to be out in the open in bright sunlight doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't make sense now. Because then they're going to be easy pickings for everybody.
Sure. Oh, well,
So
I guess that's really useful information for someone, just that. These are a cool, like, kind of dream Cory for me. They're pretty rare in Australia. And you
wish
bred
I
them.
had some eggs. Yes, I have.
Only once,
times.
though? Oh, a couple
Yeah,
times?
A couple times, yeah.
But Eric hasn't.
No. Eric tried to spawn them when we were in our old house, which we had our fish room was, no kidding, it was probably about as big as this room here, and we both shared it. I had one half, he had the other.
Yeah.
And he tried to do it with the dry season because they do need a dry season. They need a pretty tough one. So in the Pantanal, where they're found, in Brazil,
The Pantanalensis, these are called?
those are corridors Pantanalensis.
Yeah.
Pantanalensis, yes. So in the Pantanal, where they're from, they have a really strict dry season. The water levels drop. It's skanky water. I don't know what the pH gets down to. I don't let their pH fall down below 5. So if I notice that water is getting rancid, I'll give them fresh water, but I only give them a little bit. But I use tap water with these guys. And usually after 4 months, 5 months, you'll start to notice the males and the females look alike in the non-breeding season. They're just
Like now.
like now. But you'll start to notice that the males will start to develop their patterns after 4 or 5 months, sometimes 3 months. I just watch the males. If the males start to develop their colors, their color pattern, that's when I know. Now I'll have that water level down right
So
above the sponge filter.
This is actually a dry season right now.
Right. And the males are starting to get their colors.
So you're doing like less water changes right now.
I do less water change. I don't do any water changes whenever they're in the dry season. I will add water to the tank,
Yeah.
but I don't water change.
Okay.
So now I will
Less feedings
gradually
as
fill
well?
it up. Oh no.
You're
For
still
the
feeding
eggs?
heaps?
Oh heck yeah. Once that male starts to turn colors.
I'm saying in the dry season.
Oh, the dry season, no.
No
they'll
feeding.
They'll get flake food maybe once a week.
What?
Yep.
You just
I don't
starve
feed them. I just stop feeding them. You have to torture them. I know that sounds cruel, but it's not. This is what happens to them in nature. These are wild caught fish. These are not tank raised fish. These are wild caught fish.
Yeah.
I keep that water level down. I barely feed them. They're in just regular tap water. Our tap water comes out of the tap sometimes anywhere between 6.8 and 7.2,
Yeah.
depending on what season it is around here. So the water level will be right above where the sponge filter top is. And then I gradually start putting water in. In the Pantanal, when it rains, that rainwater is warm. It's not hot, it's warm. So they can be in cooler water. So I make the tap water just lukewarm. I've never checked the temperature, I'm sorry. I fill that water up to the top and then I'll start doing water changes. Every other day, water change, water change, water change. Always with warmer water.
With warm RO?
No, with warm tap water.
They just like the tap water.
I've never spawned them in RO. I've done it a couple of times where I was putting RO in there and they clamped up. So I don't know. And I did that for a month and it was a gradual process, putting the RO in. They didn't like it. So I just used tap water. And all their eggs will be scattered. Some of them will be on the bottom and some will be on the glass. I just scrape them off and move them into a different tank to hatch them.
So now that these guys are starting to get their patterns, you're going to start thinking about...
Yes, I will start feeding really heavy, try to get some live foods into them.
Yep.
Usually if we have a couple of warm days, even during winter, around here earthworms will pop up out of the ground.
Yep.
So I'll go out and collect the earthworms, chop them up. I'll give them a lot of high protein foods. If I find any bugs anywhere, I squash them and put them in there for them if they sink to the bottom so that they can eat, because obviously they don't eat off the surface.
Huh.
And a lot of grindle worms,
Talk
white
about
worms.
dedication, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, because I just think that's a fascinating fish, the fact that they change colors or pattern, and they go through a very stressful, I would think, environment, because they're large fish, but they're still, that has to be really hard on their bodies.
It'd just be so frustrating, like them sitting there and they're just like watching you feed everything in the room, and
Yeah,
they're like, "What?
they do.
Why aren't
Yeah.
we getting food?"
Yeah.
Is there something going on in here?
Yes, there is one female and 4 Mochachelopaini, which is an African catfish that resembles Synodontis, but they're not. So I've spawned these once before in 2019. I actually bought these fish in, I think it was 2009, so they're a little bit old. I think this fish is just beautiful. I think they're sexy. I think they're just gorgeous. I don't mean to sound like a real knuckle, but... Is there a female in there?
I don't know, but alright, that's as good as probably we'll get a look at. But
Right. The female actually is a little bit larger and she looks like she swallowed a golf ball. He will lure her up into the cave.
like into these.
Yes, and that's where they'll spawn. He actually wraps his body around hers.
So for people at home, this is like a bowl with marbles, and then he'll take her in there into that pot, and then they spawn in the darkness.
Is she
She's
in there?
in there. I don't know.
Can you see her? No, she's in here.
Oh, she is.
Oh yeah, somebody's in here. Please don't.
Sting.
I've never been stung by them, knock on wood.
Oh, she is fat. Wow.
Yeah, look at her.
She's beefy.
I just think they're so beautiful. I don't care what anybody thinks. Oh, damn it, I let go of the male.
Dude, we should get some of these.
Yeah, they're really cool. And they're not difficult to take care of. They'll eat anything that you put in here.
So you haven't spawned them since 2019?
Yeah, well, I haven't tried anything. I left them in the tank. I would do water changes on them. I move them whenever I want to spawn them.
Oh, okay. So you've just been like holding them.
Yeah.
It's not that you haven't had success since then.
No.
You just haven't
Well,
tried.
Yeah, the first time that I spawned them in 2019, I wasn't able to raise the fry because I had people that I was taking care of. Obviously, the fish didn't make it. I put them in here. I put one pot on each end because I'm almost embarrassed to admit I can't remember. I know that I put the marbles in, but I can't remember if I gave them a tall pot or a short pot. And I can't remember what I did. I never took photographs. But I'll start feeding the heck out of this tank and doing a lot of water changes on it. And hopefully, they love bloodworms. Love them. So I'll start feeding them really heavy at night, obviously, because they're not coming out in the daytime. Hopefully they spawn. I just think they're beautiful.
So you'd strip the babies out and put
Yeah,
them...
you just take the pot. I take the pot lid off, and then I take the tray out, and I very slowly bring it up out of the water, take it out, remove it, and take it in and dump it into a container. Just dump the marbles and everything in there because the eggs are pretty resilient.
Yeah.
I've never squashed one that I know of. See, there he is now.
There you
Jerks.
go. I know.
And it's really funny, I got to tell you about this. This is going to sound weird, but
Yeah.
this fish develops like a gonopodium in breeding season. So like in November, they don't have it, and the males get when they're ready, or when the female's ready, or when conditions are right, I have no idea. He'll develop a penis. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know what...
I
Can't call
guess.
it a gonopodium because it's not really what it is, but it's really kind of neat to see. So I had a picture, I still have several pictures. I was taking photographs of their genitalia, and because I wanted to show it, the different males have, I don't know how to put this. They're different sizes. It's just kind of embarrassing. I'm sorry. So that's what I was taking photographs of, because I'm a fish pervert, I guess. But one of them actually released milt in my hand, and I got photographs of it releasing the milt, and you could see this white cloud going down through the water column. And I was thinking, damn it! I hope that wasn't the guy that was going to
do
get her.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But they're just really cool fish.
Yeah.
And seriously, in November, that thing will, I've only looked in, I think, November and December, so I don't really know that they don't have it all year long, but they didn't have it. They didn't have the growth. Whatever it's called, I'm not being technical, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We're not scientists.
Yeah.
We're hobbyists.
But it's really cool.
Now, this is a project that I know has been pissing you off.
That's a mild term. No way to put it, yeah.
So these are equus, according to this. And they just don't spawn.
No. I have done everything to that fish. Dry season, no dry season. Long season, whatever. I've tried different water parameters. I've tried different temperatures. I've tried different tanks. I've tried different foods. I've tried no foods. I've tried straight RO, straight tap, half and half, leaves, alder cones, hitting them with black water extract, straight, everything. Turn the pump up, turned it down, no airflow whatsoever. I mean, I've done everything except play them Barry White. And I know you don't know who Barry White is, but he's got a really sexy voice that turns women on. I don't know what to do with them.
You should drop a little blue pill in there.
Maybe. There's some Viagra. I'll have to find somebody that has that.
Holland
and I
has
can't
heaps.
get them to do. I've had them since when did I get these? In 2008 or was it 2018? And the females, they're getting heavy. So what I'm going to try to do this time is they're not getting any more water changes. They're not getting nothing. They're not getting any food. Well, that's a lie. I'll probably give them food.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give them any more water changes, and I'm just going to take them and abruptly move them into another tank and see if that triggers them. I belong to Facebook groups for catfish, and people spawn them, but they all do them in different water parameters. Nobody does it the same way. So one person will tell me one thing, somebody else will say something different, and there's another guy saying something different. I don't know. They're beautiful, but they're frustrating.
Oh, well, I'm sure you'll figure it out at some point.
Yeah, someday.
These are Scalar Mestrax? Or?
Scleromistax, yeah.
Yeah, Scalar Mistax.
CW38.
Yep.
So
And
they're
you've got
an
a few
undescribed
different
species.
You've got a few different versions.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
Scleromistax. I like them all. They prefer cooler water in the 70s. Warm water, they won't tolerate. Hot water, they will not tolerate at all. They might for a short period.
And you've been breeding them?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And those guys aren't even full grown yet. So these came from Rob McClure, and it's a CW38, and then behind you is a CW38. That looks a little bit different, but these came from a gentleman in Norway.
So you brought them back with you?
Yes. Wonderful
Wow.
fish breeder. And I've spawned the heck out of them also. The fry are pretty straightforward to raise up. There's really no problem with them. But these guys have, again, straight RO, half tap, half RO. And they're really no problem, as long as they are kept cool and kept in nice water. And look at the male's pectoral. I mean,
Aren't they cool?
That's just... And he's not even full grown yet.
No.
They're just magnificent. They're beautiful.
So lots of food, straight RO, 50-50 mix with tap water.
Yep.
And that's how you get the breeding.
Yes. And they lay their eggs up on the glass where the water hits the glass.
What else is going on up here? Oh, these moth cats.
Yeah, the Aristes. Can you see them?
I can't.
Let me.
Oh, you want to get in there and play with them? So have you bred the moth cats?
No, I have not. I just got these, I think it was last year.
Sure.
Oh, there's one.
Where?
Right there. Moth cats, anchor cats.
Dude, they are such a weird little fish, aren't they? That's what makes them cool. Is that as big as they get?
Yep.
Damn.
These are full grown. You can see where the anchor comes from.
They're just a cool fish just to have. So how many of them are in there?
There's 3.
And you've definitely got males and females?
And they spawn, supposedly from the gentleman in the UK, they spawn in the moss.
So how are you going to collect the eggs then?
I'll probably just take the moss out.
Like sticky eggs, apparently.
I would imagine. I don't know. Honest to God, I don't remember. I was talking to him about the foods and what he did to induce them to spawn. It was just a lot of live food and water changes. But when he did his, he did water changes, and there were fry on the bottom. They looked like little black dots scurrying around. So he pulled the parents out.
Sometimes that's just the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Like just set up like a dirty ass tank.
Filthy. Yep. Cruddy, crappy. Yep.
Leave them in there.
That's these bottom dwellers. That's what they're from. They're not, well, unless they're some of the plecos, but
they're like addicted to mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say mold.
Yeah. That's the word of the day, mold.
Yep.
Nice.
This is Beckford eye fry.
Yeah, these things
I don't think there's that many in there.
There we go.
And they're ones that I pulled out of the tank.
Nice.
That you can see.
They're cute. What are these ones?
These guys, that's more of the Snyder's barbs. Just a different. These are the tiny ones.
You always get those like sprinters, hey? Like look at that one at the front.
Like one, yeah. And then the other guys, I don't know if that's females are smaller, maybe the females are larger, I don't know. Have to wait and see. But they were pretty prolific. But it's a barb that I like.
I do like just like every now and then just doing like a batch of like zebradanios or something, just to like.
Yeah, even though they're common or they're just ordinary.
It's nice to just have like a big batch of fish going.
Yeah. And then my favorite fish.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about these.
Yeah. Chilotus punctatus.
What are they called again?
Headstand. Chilotus punctatus.
Yeah.
The headstander, they're South American.
So they permanently stay like just down like that.
Yes. And these guys, I think I've had them for 6 years, 5 or 6 years now.
Damn.
I should write that down, but I don't. I just love them, and they're not really like flashy, pretty fish, but I love the way each scale is outlined and their posture.
Yep.
I just think they're cool as shit. And they'll nibble all the mulm off the bottom. They don't bother any of my plants, but they do eat the algae off of it, or they nibble on the algae or whatever's growing on there, the biofilm, I suppose. And they're just super, super cool. And I don't know if anyone's ever spawned them in captivity. If I ever see them available again, I'm going to get more. But I would like to try to put these guys through a dry season, but again...
It's just scary.
It is scary.
It is scary.
It is scary, and I don't want to do that.
Fish breeding is a game of chance.
It's chance, yep.
It is.
But totally. I suppose if I can kill the Aurantiacus that I got, the blue-eyed Congo, each of those fish was $25. So I had 10. These guys were like $6.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid to put them through a dry season, but I'll boil those guys. That makes a lot of sense.
You can see exactly, like for me, I can see exactly how they'd be in the wild, like picking at the bottom, looking for stuff.
Yeah.
Bullying corridors from above.
I think they're so cool. I love them.
Should we go in the other room?
Yep.
In we go.
This is an old dark room from the person that built this house. Their son was a photographer. And this room is usually a lot cooler if I keep the door closed during winter. And there's a heat vent in here, but I keep that heat vent closed so that no heat obviously comes in here. So these guys in here, they all prefer cooler water.
So these are Dolphois?
No, those are Duplicarius.
Oh, these are Duplicarius.
Yeah. And I got them from 2 different breeders.
You've been spawning them?
No, I have not. They're another one that needs this special recipe for their water, and I'm like, when I get around to you. Because I don't really dig the idea of, people are boiling different tannin-causing agents to put in the water with them. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So when I get around to it, that's just too much of a pain in the butt.
And I know how many hours you spend in here because you just told me.
Yeah, and I love it though.
You spend 50 hours a week in here.
Yep.
Hiding in the basement.
The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, obviously I let the dogs out, have my coffee. Come down here, I put the brine shrimp on, new brine shrimp every day. And I come in here, and these lights come on first. Then the side bank comes on, then this bank here comes on last. So they get a gradual, except for these guys, get a gradual introduction to daylight. This room in here, since I turn the water off I turn the water off. I turn the heater off every night. This room gets really cool. The water in the bottom tanks will drop down to 62.
Wow.
And that's, I don't like even putting my hands in there because it makes my hands hurt. It really does. But these guys like that. These guys like it, and then these guys, yeah, we like it.
Yeah.
But this is always cooler in here. But I come in here, after I have my coffee and put the brine on, I come in here and I feed these guys. And then I'll wait, and maybe half an hour later, the bank of lights over here will kick on. And if there's anything in here that needs to be done, like a water change, or if someone has spawned and I'll pull their eggs or sponge filters or whatever, I'll monkey around in here for a good hour, hour and a half. Then those lights come on, then I feed them, and it's just one big loop after the lights come on. And then I make up back upstairs because by that time Eric's awake. Then the dogs have to go out again. And I monkey around upstairs for a little bit, come back down, and I just start cleaning things. They make fun of me because I clean my lids, but I like my lids to be clean because that's part of the aquarium.
Yeah, I love I dig the clean
and
lid.
it's, I have plants growing in here. They're not high-tech plants, and they still need light, but I want to see in here. I don't want all that crap. I don't want dead food on top of my lids. It makes me shake. So
I appreciate
that's what
that.
I do.
So, the cold water species, more
Scleromistax.
Scleromistax. All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and remember that.
These are C112s.
Yep.
And I have way more females than I have males in there.
And that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. These guys, again, they need the RO water. They need soft water to spawn. And there are, you're such a witch.
Needy.
Yeah, she is. And there's a couple of the cherry Congo tetra females in there.
Really?
Yeah, they're probably way in the back hiding.
Yeah, they are.
And you would think, tetra, Africa, they need warm water. No, that water down there gets freezing cold to me. And those females are perfectly fine in there.
Well, you think about Africa as a massive country.
Yeah, yep,
I mean, like
exactly.
a continent. Like,
yeah.
So, like, there's all sorts of environments. Just because it comes from Africa
Right,
doesn't mean it
doesn't
comes
mean
from
it's
the
hot.
Congo.
Exactly.
Or,
exactly.
Yeah, some people are just, and then, you get
But
into
sadly.
arguments online about stuff like that. And,
Yeah, and it doesn't. We were in Peru. The air temperature was like 90s. When you
Sure.
stepped into the water, it was maybe 70s.
Yep.
So it was a big difference, even in the wide open, in the with the direct sunlight. Come here.
Is there something in here? There was.
There
when I
are.
was-
There are rubber lip plecos in there,
Okay.
and they only spawn for me in the winter. And if I take the fry out of there, I can't keep them cold enough.
Rubber lips like it cold.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
They
didn't
don't
know
like
that.
that heat. Mm-mm.
And then we got more. So you got like some really interesting little cory species
Yeah.
in here. So these are reticulatus.
Reticulatus, yes.
You guys have to forgive me. They're hard to film. I've got some.
Yeah,
a
they're
bit of
very
B-roll.
skittish, too.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They don't want anything to do with people.
It's reticulatus, and then here these are.
Prionotus,
These are another
Scleromistax, Prionotus.
scleromistax. Yeah, I got some decent footage of these, but again,
Good.
forgive me.
Yeah,
These are cool. They got like that middle stripe.
they are, and they're not flashy, but they're still pretty.
They're another scleromistax,
Right.
so for a
I
collector.
believe there's a Brazilian, yeah,
and then,
and then Microcanthus, Corridorus Microcanthus,
these actually had little ones in there when I
Yeah,
was filming, so
yeah.
that's kind of cool.
and they're one of the cories in here that really frustrate me. I got them from a breeder, and he told me don't put them into a large aquarium because they'll kind of get lost.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'm not putting them into a 5.5, and I'm not going to put them into a 10 because I don't have. That is a 10. That's a 10 long, U.S. gallons. So I put them in there, and for I don't know how long I had them, 2019 maybe. They'll lay eggs only in the brown mops. And I've rifled through the sand. There's never an egg in the sand. There's never an egg on the glass. It's only in those brown mops. And they're fairly large eggs. They're almost 2 mil. So if I pull those eggs, even if I float them in that water, those fry will hatch out, and they're really weak. So I know they lay eggs in there. Sometimes I'll just let the eggs stay in there. And I would imagine that some of those fry that are, to me, they're weak, the parents probably eat them. Or they just don't make it. I don't know. But they're just a neat little fish. And that's all the bigger that they get.
One of the things that I just thought would maybe help those fry to survive is sometimes just like a big leaf in there because they get under the leaves.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
When they hatch, I
Yeah.
do that. But they, even when they hatch out, they're like always on their side, and they flop. They don't swim. They flop.
Did
So
you
I
hate
don't
that?
know if there's something in my water that's screwing them up.
It's
don't
hard to
know.
say. I mean, you're playing with, you know,
Yeah.
50 species in
Yep.
here. Like, it's hard to get them all exactly as
Yeah,
you want
but
them. And
I've
then
tried
these,
the leaves, Java moss. Those
these-
are Corridors Carle.
they look like an expensive salt and pepper
Yeah,
quarry.
they're from Brazil. Yeah, no, they're much better looking. And they're longer, slender,
They are.
more slender fish.
They're definitely better.
They bury their eggs in the sand.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's annoying for you to look for them,
Mm-hmm.
though. It's got an egg. That one's got an egg.
It probably does. I've been feeding the crap out of them.
What the hell? They're breeding on camera.
Good. Live footage.
Yeah, you see, she's looking to put that somewhere.
Yep.
She's trying to dump it behind that.
Probably. She's probably trying to hide it somewhere.
Uh,
Even if they spawn, there might be 3 eggs on the glass. The rest of them are in the sand.
right.
It's kind of frustrating.
And there's also like little babies that have
Yeah,
survived through
yeah.
there. That's satisfying. Oh, another cool one. Stay there.
Yeah, they're skittish also.
Sipal.
Sipilowini. Corridor
Sipilowini.
Sipilowini.
There it is.
They're another one. They need cold water. If you
Yep.
put them in warm water, they kind of like blanch up, clamp, and express their dismay. They're very shy, but they are prolific.
And then you do have up here pea puffers.
Yeah. The pea puffers.
So the other day when we were hanging out,
Yeah.
no, you tell me the story.
No, I have 1 female and 3 male Nenobagris immaculatus, which is a little brown bagrid from Asia, Indonesia, I think.
Yeah.
And I've had them since 2019, I believe it was. I bought them at one of the conventions. I've never seen them come in again because I would like to get more, even though they're just floating turds. So I wanted to try to spawn them. Well, I moved them into this tank because it's shallow, it's cooler, and I had every intention of putting a lot more plants in there. So I thought, I'll try to spawn them. I'll put that pseudo cave in there because maybe that's where they spawn, in a cave. So I have a little bit of the eyelash yarn stuffed in there and weighted down with rocks. The bottom of the coffee filter is actually loaded with marbles, and then I have the terracotta lid. So I thought, oh, I'm going to put these pea puffers in here because why am I wasting this space? Because I never see the Nenobagris except at night. Like an hour after the lights go off, they'll come out. So I have the pea puffers in there, and I didn't intentionally want to do anything with them. They were pretty much there just to control the snail population since we have a lot of snails. One day I come down here and I empty that container, and there are little orbs, gold orbs in there, little eggs. And I was like, oh, I spawned them. They finally worked because I never went to look for the females. So I'm dumping the eggs in these yellow containers, the Sarah containers. And every day I would come down here, and every day there would be new eggs. And I would collect them, and wow, this is great. The eggs hatch, the fry are developing, and I'm thinking I have Nenobagris immaculatus. You come to the house and you're like, those are pea puffer fry. And I'm like, no way, they were in the cave. The eggs are only in the cave, they're nowhere else. You're like, no, I'm telling you, that's pea puffers. I'm like, no way. Well, I never did come down here to see when they're doing it, but they are goddamn pea puffers. They are not Nenobagris because I dug the female out of that cave yesterday morning, and I got 2 pea puffer eggs instead of like 50. So they're
But the
not
pea puffer
Nenobagris.
babies, they looked so cool. Like you raise them
do.
up, so you put the
Yeah.
eggs in here, right?
Those are not. No, are those? No, those are not.
It's the yellow bucket, right?
No, there's a Cory in there. Here, let me show you. I have one that's bigger.
You have the
Or do
big
you
one,
wanna
but
see
the
the
little
little-
ones are so cool as well. I wanted to see.
But the little ones are in here.
Oh, okay.
I just dumped them all into the same container. No, I was keeping them all separate, thinking if they were the Nenobagris, they were going to eat one another.
Oh yeah, there you can see it. They're tiny little. That's a baby pea puffer. Hey, they're so cute.
There's one there.
They aren't that hard to breed. They're like little egg scatterers.
There's one there.
They're like CPDs.
No, they're all through the moss.
Cool.
But yeah, I was all happy thinking, oh my God. Neat fish, nobody's ever spawned it before.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
you got scammed.
Yeah, by a goddamn pea puffer, which is okay because those guys are probably, I don't know, Eric had them first. And like I said, they were just here for snail control.
So, just in case someone, that's so cute, like you can see the little floating balls.
Yep.
But if someone wants to breed the peas, so you put the eggs in here, just a bit of Java moss,
Yeah.
whatever, and then what do you feed them?
I was giving them just powdered food.
Really, like bug buffet?
APR. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the bug buffet, yep. If anything, just soft and powdery.
Sure.
I mean, there's a Sarah product too.
That's
this is
Micron.
just, this is just like crumbs.
Yeah.
And I just put it in there, god damn it, and crush it up.
Sure.
They
Just
were eating
works.
it. Yeah.
There's one more thing I want you to show us, and it's the baby Corys as well. So, I found this super cool. Mm-hmm. So there's like a heap in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are, what's it called? Yeah, zygatus.
Zygatus?
Mm-hmm. And they are very prolific. There's two different spawns in there.
Yeah. So you'll put separate spawns together, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, I don't care. I don't really know that they're very common in the U.S. I don't know because I don't really look at them or look for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the adults from a breeder, and they spawn. Do a water change, they spawn. Feed the hell out of them, give them a water change, they spawn. I quit pulling the eggs. The barbs can eat them if they want.
So you put the eggs in here.
Nope, I put the eggs into one of those yellow containers.
Yep.
They'll hatch.
Like with all
usually-
this junk in it?
Right,
Yep.
with all the junk in it. They'll hatch within four days usually. Got to keep an air stone in there. I put an alder cone in there. I use water from the parent's tank. Put the eggs in because they spawn near the meniscus where the water is bubbling against the sides. And I'll scrape them off with a razor blade, dump them in there. If they're stuck together, I pull them
Do you
apart.
worry about like fungus and stuff?
No, that's what I use the alder cones for.
The alder cones actually stop the fungus?
Yes. And they put tannins in the water. They do stop fungus bacteria from forming. After 24 hours, we have these growing in our yard, so it's kind of
convenient.
good for us, yeah. So after 24 hours, I take that alder cone out, I throw it in some other tank so I don't waste the tannins. And then 4 days later, they'll hatch, start feeding them powdered food, move them up the microworm, move them up the baby brine shrimp,
All in that little
crushed
bucket?
flake.
All in that little bucket?
All in that little bucket. After about, 3 weeks, when they put a little bit of size on, I'll move them into whatever spare 10-gallon tank I have. And since these guys prefer cool water, that's when I put them in the cold room.
And will you change that water in the bucket
Oh
ever?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
How
change it
often?
every day.
Every day?
I drain it down to nothing.
Yeah.
They're in there squirming around, stuck together, and I use water from the parent's tank for the first 2 or 3 water changes, and then after that I do half water from the parent's tank, half tap, then I gradually increase it just a full tap.
Well, thank you so much for having us at your room.
Very welcome.
Did we miss something? We missed these little things.
You missed a really cool tetra though.
Did I? Oh, nice. What are they?
That is a glandular caudine. They're internally,
Caudine?
yeah, they're internally fertilized.
What?
Tetras, yes. So this fish is so cool. So they're just silver. They,
Yeah.
if you have them in the right light, they'll have like pink or blue cast to them or sheen or whatever. Right behind the gill plate,
Yep.
the males will have a tendril on each side, and at the end of the tendril, and it reaches back almost to the dorsal, and it'll have a little nub on the end of it. The female is just a plain silver fish. They call it a swordtail kerosene, and the male, when he's courting the female, he'll take that filament with a little nub on it, and he'll wave it in front of the female. The female thinks that that's something to eat. She'll go up to get it, to eat it, and he'll inseminate her. So in different areas...
He tricks her with a fake food.
Yes, he does. If they're collected in different parts of South America, I can't remember where, Brazil, I think, then each one of those, they're the same fish, but they're found in different river systems or stream systems. Each one of those nubs looks different in different areas. So the scientists are now thinking that the nub on the end of that filament resembles the food that's most commonly found in that area. So it'll look like Daphnia here. It might look like a copepod over here in a different area.
Might look like bug
So it's
buffet in your
really,
fish room.
Yeah, and she'll store that sperm packet inside of her, much like a live bearer. And whenever she feels safe or comfortable or maybe uncomfortable, I don't know, she'll release those eggs and she'll deposit them on leaves or grass or whatever.
Like they
and
just
swim
scatters them
off.
around?
She just drops them wherever she wants. And then in a couple of days, they hatch out, and they're not really small. There's actually some in here, but all they do is hide.
Great. It's cool for you because you get to look in there and see them, but for me...
I just think that's such a cool fish. It is a
cool fish.
I mean, how can you not want to muck around with something like that?
It's hard when because we're like,
Yeah.
oh, just trust us, there's fish in there.
Yeah, and
But
they
it's
are
hard
in
to
there.
film. I know.
And there's only about a dozen. Now, Eric spawned them, and Eric kept them in his room.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the males dove out of the tank, and he only had what I think are 2 females left. So I brought them in here to use for dither fish for the Sipilowini because the Sipilowini are shy. And I threw them in there, and I'm thinking nothing's going to happen. I didn't really care. I just wanted dither fish. I looked in there one day, and something darted across the top of the tank, and I thought that is not a Cory because the Cory fry is not going to be at the top of the tank. So I took my handy little cup and I dipped it in there, and sure enough, they were Riesling fry. So it's just a cool fish. I really wish we had a male because it's just so cool.
So these are just 2 females now.
But it's so cool to watch.
These get hard to film too, but these are like
Little
pretty
loaches.
cool. Yeah, so have you bred these?
Polka dot loach, no. They're jerks.
Too hard.
Yeah. Somebody said if you fill the tank lid, they spawn on the tank lids.
What?
And I had that water up there. Females were huge. I never found a goddamn egg.
Yeah.
So I just keep them till they peter off.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having us
You're very,
in your
very
fish room.
welcome.
We had a great time, and it's been a fun couple of days for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you guys here.
All right. See you guys.